Hello, it's me, JT, here from Epichorrorfans. It's time for another co-op review, and today we're going to be talking about the new Texas Chainsaw 3D movie, because it's not Massacre, because there's not really much of the massacring in this. But, we'll let you be the judge of that. Let me start it off by saying, welcome everyone. How's everyone been? Pretty good?
Yeah, great.
Yep, great.
All right, so everyone's all settled in, and let me start with, who wants to go first? Danny, Spirejack?
I'll go first.
Okay,
Okay.
Spirejack, you can go first, and I'll go last.
My opinion on this film, I actually liked it. I didn't think it was a great movie. I just thought it was, okay. It was pretty much mindless entertainment. I mean, I was thoroughly entertained throughout the film. I like the fact that they really tried their hardest to connect it to the first film. I like the fact that they recapped all the kills from the first movie.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
And, I have to say, even for a movie that came out for 1973, seeing all those kills again on the big screen and everything like that was really neat. I actually thought the picture quality of that film being on the big screen was actually really good. And, with this film, canceling out the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, which is somewhat underrated. I still think of it as a very good classic film, especially with the fact that Dennis Hopper dual wields, Leatherface at the end. But however, with the fact that they try to take a more serious approach to this film, but this film does suffer the same fate as like the other films that came after the second movie. It tried to copy other ideas from other Texas Chainsaw Massacre films and then basically try to do their own thing. And that, I think, is probably the weakness of the film. I mean, I like the fact that, they build up the first kill in the film. I thought the first of the film was really good build up, really good suspense, and then every kill that came afterwards was pretty predictable. And I have to say, the actress that played the main girl in this film, Heather, I thought she did a good job. I would probably say she maybe did a little bit more of a better job than Jessica Biel did in the Platinum Dunes Texas Chainsaw Massacre film, but maybe not as good as Jordana Brewster, who was in the prequel. But, that is my own opinion. Now, the way they wrapped up the film is pretty good. It left it open for a sequel, and
like they always do.
Like they always do. Overall, I would probably buy this film when it comes down to like $15, or if it's even $15 when it comes out. I'll pick up the Blu-ray of it, pop in it, probably around Halloween, and so I liked it. I'll give it a 6 out of 10, maybe a 7. So.
All right, well, Danny.
Yeah. Okay. Well, for me, I'm actually kind of the opposite on.
You were disappointed.
When it came out of the movie, I was like, maybe I should give this movie a 6. And then the next day, I was like, wait a second. You know what? I'm gonna give this movie a 5 because it's not a terrible movie. Don't get me wrong here. Like, it's a watchable movie. I kind of agree with Spider Angel saying it's kind of a popcorn flick,
Yeah.
But and I do like the beginning of the movie. Actually, that was the original in 3D. I thought that was really cool. There were some funny scenes in the movie, but
like the Skype, Skype kill.
I didn't like the fact that it didn't. I didn't like the fact that it didn't have quite as a serious tone as the original or the remakes. It was kind of a more like comedy, funny movie. But also, I kind of disagree with Spider Jack Angel with on the fact that he thought the actress in this movie was better than Jessica Biel. For me, I really like Jessica Biel actually in the 2003 version. That's my favorite version. That and the remake, the original, right? The original and the 2003 is my favorite, and then would probably be the prequel. But I just like that scene where Jessica Biel's like, "What the fuck is wrong with you people?" I love that scene. I love that part, and I love the reveal of how like all the townspeople are all together. Where in this film, I kind of knew that the cop was kind of like crooked even before that, but you know.
Well, it was the mayor that was crooked. It wasn't the cop.
Yeah, exactly. You know, the cop's the son that was a cop.
Son
right?
of Clint Eastwood.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's what I meant. You kind of knew that he was gonna be like evil.
It was like, oh, he's either gonna be like the boyfriend, or, like in a sense, or he's just gonna be like the one at the end or something. But
well,
how
we're in the
unfolds?
movie. Remember when we're in the 2003 version? There's a real good scene with Jessica Biel, which is like probably one of my favorite scenes in the movie, where she goes into the trailer and she meets the fat lady and that really creepy woman, you know, and she's like, well, "You said you didn't have a phone," like that. Like I love that scene, and she falls down, and the fat lady's like, "Oh dear," it's like, you know.
Yeah.
I love that scene, but like in this, there were so many memorable like scenes in the 2003 version that I like, and I really like how they redid like Leatherface's kind of like lair basically, because they had like water in there and it was like really creepy. Where in the atmosphere in this movie wasn't as creepy, and I would say that the remake also had really good cinematography, but also really good set design. Where in this movie the house was kind of creepy, but it wasn't as creepy as, you know, the 2003 version basically. Because the 2003 house was like the creepiest house you ever saw in your like entire life. It actually exists in Texas. It's like, it's not like a set. It's actually real, which is really creepy. And I don't know. I just
this one. If the thing is, it's not like the house like in the original. You know what I mean? Because it's a new location. Because you know how the house got burnt down. That's probably why it doesn't feel as creepy. I mean, because it's not like the original Sawyer house. You know, it's like this other lady's house. If she's Sawyer or whatever, I can't remember. But
well, they did try to mimic it a little bit. I mean,
it's got that same sort of feel, but it's actually a really nice house.
Yeah, pool table and everything.
And then like
and I think that's kind of what makes it not creepy, because you don't have that kind of like creepy atmosphere from like
there's hidden doors.
Like the old house.
There's hidden doors.
Yeah, like kind of the house kind of like added to like the atmosphere of like Leatherface in the original and also the remake. Where in this it was just kind of like a neatly done house.
Well, I have to say I like this house versus the house in like Leatherface, the third Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, where this is basically like out in the woods. You know, it was almost like about as big as like the cabin in Evil Dead, almost. You know, it's
well,
just
the
like
Evil
out
Dead
of the
cabin's
woods.
actually pretty big, like the second one. I mean, how many doors are in that cabin? It's just like it just never seems to end. And then you got the whole cellar. I mean, it's a pretty big cabin. It looks small, but when you go in, it's just it's like a you know how like the
but
full
you know,
house
I like this house versus the one in Leatherface. But you know, I will agree that complex-wise, the house in the remake was a little bit more better set up. I will agree with that.
I liked how like in like the 2003 version they like mimicked like Ed Gein's house. Like they put things purposely in the house to like be like an homage to like the serial killer like Ed Gein. Like they had like
Ed Gein's just a weirdo.
And they had like jars of like gum and stuff, and they put that in there because like Ed Gein had that in his house. I liked how they did that because Ed Gein was like the inspiration for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I don't know if any of you guys saw this, but what was the first thing that popped in your head when the character Heather found that dead person in the chair?
I thought the chair was just gonna she was just gonna go like.
Well, the first thing I thought
I'm thinking of like the movie Seven.
Was Norman Bates' mother in Psycho? You know, just because it almost kind of reminded me of that a little bit.
Which one, the original or the remake? Oh wait, they're the exact same movie.
The original, and so, you know, the sequel.
Vince Vaughn is Norman Bates.
I think that Psycho is probably probably the worst remake ever made. Like the original is a classic.
The Omen, the Omen, I would probably say is the second worst.
I'm gonna put Omen as the second one, second worst remake ever made.
There are a lot of bad remakes. I just can't think of what the worst is. Psycho,
The Wicker Man.
Yeah. That one was bad too.
Oh God, recipes! Ah, they're in my eyes. Ah,
Okay.
But back on Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So your verdict, Danny? What would be?
Well, like, I'll tell you guys this. The biggest problem for me in this movie was like the suspense. I mean, I know that Spider Jack Angel says there was some suspense. I mean, I admit there was a couple of good kills in the movie, but when you compare it to like the 2003 version, like there was more kind of like Leatherface kind of like lurking in the shadows, and you didn't know where he was, and I really liked that. But they didn't really play around with that in this.
Yeah,
movie.
They did in the first person that got killed, because remember he kept on trying to open up the door, and then basically he was gonna give up, and then like you just saw darkness, and then basically after a little while, Leatherface jumps out of the darkness and hits him over the head.
Yeah, it's like, was he in the room with him, or was he like, you don't even hear the door move?
He was. I think he was in the background. I think he was just lurking in the background.
Yeah, I know that. That's what I meant. Like there was a couple of good kills, but like in the 2003 version, there was like more like Leatherface like lurking in the shadows. There was more of that, and you didn't know where he was, kind of thing. There was a lot of good scenes in the movie where he would just come out of nowhere and just like brutally kill people. Where in this movie there was some scenes where you knew where he was and he wasn't in the shadows, kind of thing.
I mean, I'll give it credit for doing something different, like having like Leatherface go to the amusement park. I'm like, what's he gonna do? Just like stop? And she's gonna be like, no, he's like, no, I'm just gonna chainsaw this fucking fence. I'm gonna go after someone. And then like they're coming out of the funhouse, and the one guy's like with his little baby chainsaw. He's like, yeah, and the Leatherface just pulls out his real one with like blood, like shooting at him. The guy.
Well, the best part about that was the fact that the kid was dressed up like one of Jigsaw's accomplices.
That was funny.
He was dressed up in the pig mask, and the kid rips out his little chainsaw. Leatherface just whips out his. Like, I'm good.
And it was just so funny how like no one like really did anything. They're all just like, oh my God, there's a guy with the chainsaw. The cop could have shot at him. But
well, let's talk about the continuity problem in this movie. The fact that
the original was in '74, and unless this girl aged very well, because I mean she does look very fine for in general, but unless she aged very well, she should be about like 38 years old.
Unless they try to say
what they
did, I think they changed the dates. Tell you the truth.
Yeah, this is how we solved our problem. We're just gonna blank out the date.
Yeah, and pretend that it happened in the 80s, which it did, and it happened in the 70s, and everybody has 70 clothes on, right? So,
but
I mean, there's a continuity issue in this movie, basically.
Why did they just have someone in their 40s, or why didn't they have like that baby kind of like grow up a little bit, have their own kid,
or have a really hot chick in her like late 30s,
But no, we have to go with the youth because youths are idiots. I think.
Yeah, that's what another thing that I'm kind of getting like pissed off at in all the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies.
They're all young. Why? You know what? I mean, adults can be idiots too. I mean, look at the Hangover movies. I mean, they're like in their like 40s or whatever, and they're just acting like idiots.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies, they all kind of have the same. Kind of like, I don't know, they all have like a formula basically, and even all the movies, and they're all like really young, adults basically in their 20s, and that's basically it. Where it's kind of the same formula with the Friday the 13th movies. But wouldn't it be cool if they actually broke the formula and had some like different characters in there, like in a different age group?
Yeah, I mean...
Well, I'm not too sure. I would have to try to figure out... We'll have to look up when Texas Chainsaw Massacre Next Generation, came out. But, however, I don't know how old Renee Zellweger was when she was in that film.
She was supposed to be, like... They have, like, 30-year-olds playing high schoolers.
Yeah.
Why not actually have high schoolers play high schoolers?
Well, they were like going to prom, I believe, in that movie, and then they just gotta get sidetracked.
That's the thing. I mean, people like look at it nowadays. It's just like Yeah, you're not in high school. You're in your
Yeah.
20s. But the thing is, when they show like young people are like, "Oh, you must be like what, 12?" No,
Yeah,
we're actual the actual age. But people are so
Yeah.
used to like 20-year-olds like playing high school students that it just does not work out at all.
but you know what I liked about the remake is the fact that they kind of did try to break the formula of all the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies because they had like different characters in it. Like they had the really good looking people and then they had the kind of like nerdy guy. But they never had
And then
that
they had
before.
the mail call guy.
Yeah, but like he was kind of like the outsider guy, basically telling like he says in the he was the person that would say like stuff like he was actually a really good character. The guy that wore the glasses and
Yeah, you're talking about the guy that I forget exactly what he says, but statistically,
yeah.
people around a certain age can develop like HIV early or whatever, and that age is like you two, around what you guys are or whatever.
Yeah, he was a good character because like you wouldn't expect that guy to be in a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, and that's why I kind of broke the formula because they had a different kind of character in the series. And I wish they did that with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D. Just throw a character in there that didn't fit with everyone.
Yeah, I mean, it makes things more interesting. It allows for more better possibilities.
Even in Cabin in the Woods, they got that kind of like nerdy guy who doesn't fit in with everyone, and that's what makes it interesting.
Or like look at Evil Dead. I mean, the second movie, he's like it's Bruce Campbell. That's what makes it so cool. It's really just him, and he's just out there just getting tortured by like the director by having like saw off his own hand. He's getting blood dumped on him. He goes through so much hell in those movies. But that's what
Yeah.
makes it so great. Is it's not like high schoolers or college students. It's just him, and that's what
Yeah.
makes the movie so great. And then Army of Darkness, he's just a full-on asshole to like everyone, and it's just so
Well, he
funny.
deserves to be a full-on asshole. I mean, he was put through hell in 2 films. He deserves to tell everybody to screw off every now and then.
And
I mean,
that's why that one's my favorite because I mean he's just he makes the movie and then like I
I
kind of
mean,
go like
no wonder he's just like, I don't want anything to do with it. I just want to get home. I don't
Yeah.
care.
I like
And
the
then,
alternate.
I don't want to interrupt anybody here, but I think the kills in the 2003 version were actually really more memorable than this one. Like even the opening scene with the hitchhiker that shoots herself in the head. Like remember that shot that goes like right through her head? I mean, it's much more of a brutal film, but the kills are much more memorable
Mhm.
as far as kills go.
Yeah, but like
Right.
let's get back to the movie first.
Yeah.
I mean, I give it like maybe a 6, maybe a 7, probably like maybe a 7 because I went in expecting what I got. I wanted a slasher movie because lately all we've had really for horror is just exorcist, possession, found footage. Like demon, I'm just gonna say demon, found footage. That's all we've had, except like original ones like Cabin in the Woods. That was fresh because it had like every horror movie. But it's just been the same thing over and over again. How many
And the
Exorcist
endless
movies?
Paranormal Activity films, and the last one being absolutely,
The
BS.
worst. Because
well-
they ripped off like the ending. What they should do with the Paranormal Activity series, I'm kind of getting off topic, is make it like what they're doing with the last Exorcism movie, but you can have
Yeah.
found footage elements in the movie, you know? You can have like shots of like the found footage, like where they're like looking through video cameras, but for the most part, you can
Mhm.
make it like a cinematic quality film and then add in your found footage.
Yeah,
Because
well, as long as they don't make Paranormal Activity into like the Blair Witch Project 2, which is a
we're not
horrible
that
movie.
movie never happened. But anyways, back to Texas Chainsaw 3D. I mean, the movie was just I thought it was kind of funny, especially like the Skype call. Like, how does he get
Yeah.
amazing reception down there, anyways? I mean, we're on
He's
like
like-
clear Wi-Fi and we have like issues, but like not this guy. He's got his gun. He's like, and then the one girl, like he's looking.
Well,
in the
his
freezer.
commentary was hilarious. He's like, are you sure about this, man? I don't know.
And the thing is, how did the blood? Like, I know Leatherface dragged her all the way down there, but the blood, it would have ran out, I think, by then.
Well, actually, that's a very good question. Actually, I don't think he dragged her because, remember, Heather distracted Leatherface so that she could escape. Remember that
Yeah,
and
but
that's why
she
he
ended
ran
up in the
after
cellar
her.
anyways.
So she probably crawled her way all the way to,
I don't think she
you
would
know,
crawl to the house though. Like the trail leads from the van to the house directly.
yeah. So
It just
that's
does not.
another problem. Okay,
The
let's.
movie just doesn't. There's just so many things that don't add up.
There's so many things in the movie that don't
I
make sense. Like,
the funny part though, like there's a lot of really funny moments in this
Oh
movie.
yeah,
This movie was hilarious. Like let's look at some of them. One of them, of course, like uh, the one Skype kill. That was hilarious. That came out of nowhere.
that didn't happen.
That was funny. Where they're trying to escape in their van. He's like, I'm gonna break the end. He's just going super fast. No, they get denied, flat out denied. Wait for the gate, because you know most people are like, okay, if we wait, we're gonna die. He's like, I'm going straight through this thing, and he just goes, shh, shh. And that gate
Yeah.
just denied them. Start the car. Get out of here. It's not like we can run.
well, what did you guys think of the 3D? I thought the only actually really good 3D shot in this movie was when Leatherface threw the chainsaw.
I liked how it was like a slower paced 3D because
Yeah.
like I like so
I
many
thought
things.
3D actually was
It wasn't too bad.
pretty good. It
It-
wasn't too bad. I
It's
mean,
like
probably the worst 3D I probably. Well, I wouldn't say this is the worst, but probably
Thor is the worst 3D
example
movie I've
of
ever
you know
seen.
bad
There's no
3D would be oh
Thor.
Clash of the Titans.
That was
well,
post
actually,
converted.
the like not the well, not the
Post-converted
sequel
3D
though.
is the
The
worst.
sequel actually had really good 3D.
No, Clash was the first one.
Oh yeah, right. Well, I mean the first one had
Wrath,
bad.
Wrath was the second.
Yeah,
sucks.
Wrath had good 3D though. I would say.
So wait, the gods are all dead? I don't know. I just didn't like Wrath. But anyways, back to
Oh.
Texas Chainsaw. Funny moments are like how Leatherface like slashes the tires and the van just flips and then like the one guy dies. Like, oh, we can't have you on here much longer. That was funny. The whole Jigsaw thing, that was funny. Like the Jigsaw pig mask
Yeah.
guy. Also, just the part where the girl's like she's like trusting this one young cop because it's just like, oh, he's the one like on her side. He doesn't know what's going on. And then like he just like locks the door and just like, oh, here we go. This is gonna be funny. Either he's gonna let her go, or he's just gonna be like the mayor who's like Bird from the beginning, you know, causing all this shit. And all of a sudden he's just like, sure thing, I got it right here, Dad. And he's just like,
Oh god.
and he just talks
Dude,
in it
I
like,
think the part after that part was like the most badass part where she's like, so you know that's your dad. I forgot the last name. Sorry, but and then he goes like, yeah, why? And then she goes like,
I'm a Sawyer.
I'm a Sawyer. That was awesome. I was just like, yeah.
That was pretty funny.
She tapped in a little bit into her craziness there.
Yeah,
But
it just
So
goes crazy.
But the one thing I didn't like about this movie is the fact that they made Leatherface into like a real hero. I know that Spider Jack Angel was gonna say that you always kind of rooted for like Leatherface because he was always the victim. But in this movie, like they made him into like you were just like rooting for him the whole time. I mean, like what I liked about the 2003 like Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie is like you really cared about everybody that was gonna get killed, and I really liked that because like you didn't want them to die. But then at the same time, you're like, oh, well, Leatherface, he's not really the bad one here. It's fucking Sheriff White and, like, his whole fucked up family. You're just fucking brainwashing this kid, But,
Leatherface was even the victim in the original series. So
Yeah.
he's, throughout even the series, he's always been a victim. And,
yeah.
Depending on which movie you watch, he may have even been a cross-dresser as well. But,
Yeah.
I'm not going to acknowledge what film if he was a cross-dresser.
He was kind of
I'm
a
not
cross-dresser in this movie.
He was not as bad as it was in Texas Chainsaw Massacre: Next Generation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a cross-dresser. They actually paid homage, kind of like to the
Yeah,
Next Generation.
that was
Like,
awesome.
when the cop is going through and he's like, this sick fuck wears makeup. Isn't that what he said? Something like that.
Yeah, that's pretty close, but we're not
Yeah.
going to quote exactly what he said. So,
Yeah.
I can't
And
remember.
that was really funny because I first fell
See, this movie is just, it's kind of just got a comedic tone. It's harmless. I mean,
Yeah,
you're looking for your gritty one? Sorry.
Well, if you want the gritty ones, go with the original and the remakes, and then if you want kind of a more comedy one, then go with this one, I guess.
Or Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, right?
Yeah.
Chainsaw.
I would actually even say Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is probably a little better than this one.
Yeah.
But however, I do like, this one as well. I mean, it's probably would be a film that I'd probably put in as a guilty pleasure,
I know all about those.
So